welcome to HITC Sport, and mistakes are just a part of life. I mean, just ask my parents. Yeah. Imagine seeing this pop out of your womb. Would be about as exciting as ringworm. Anyway, let's go through every Premier League club and just try and pinpoint each team's biggest mistake this season. Right, let's go. Arsenal loaning out Joe Willock. I'm gonna say it. Joe Willock is gonna be a better midfielder than Mikel Arteta ever was. And here he was, the Spaniard, turning his nose up at him as if he had diarrhea in his mouth. The man's got 5 goals for Newcastle already. And judging by his April to May form, he is currently averaging a goal every 31 minutes. A goal poaching midfielder? Isn't that exactly what Arsenal needed against Villarreal last week? I guarantee you, if Willock was in that team, we'd probably now be looking at an all-English Europa League final. Tossing away Willock, pretending you are too good for a midfielder who sniffs out a goal every half an hour. It's just utter arrogance, and Arteta, please, I hope you now feel like chewing on a block of cement. Aston Villa not managing Jack Grealish's injury properly. How ironic is it that I'm currently praying for Jack Wilshere to come back from injury so he can stick Aston Villa into the top 10 at Leeds' expense? Yes, I feel like I haven't had a bath in weeks. Whatever the Villa physio team have done with what was a minor injury, have they just been smacking his shin bone with a bat? Apparently Dean Smith was 99% of his return against Tottenham. Yeah, that was 2 months ago. So whatever voodoo, holistic, new age physio magic they've been doing for the last 2 months, it's been pretty bad. Good Christ, I wouldn't be surprised if the club doctor was actually just some former vet. I wouldn't be surprised if he told Grealish to wear a cone around his house and prescribed him a morning diet of pedigree chum. Brighton not selling Neil Maupay. My only one who thinks Neil Maupay is more trouble than he's worth. The guy has been dropped for discipline issues this season. He had an on-pitch fight with Matteo Guendouzi last season. He labelled Arsenal players arrogant just weeks before chipping a penalty down the middle against Manchester United, before then losing the game with a stupid last-minute handball. What else? Well, last week he was sent off after the full-time whistle for apparent verbal abuse of the referee. Clearly he's just the French Craig Bellamy. And for a centre forward with such a bang average goal return from open play, is he really worth the hassle? Burnley rejecting James Tarkowski bid. Burnley turning down a £31 million bid from West Ham last summer for James Tarkowski. A James Tarkowski who turns 30 next year. Why not just take the money and run? Did Sean Dyche regret selling Michael Keane for that much? No, not at all. Chelsea sidelining Tammy Abraham. Listen, Thomas Tuchel is right now being seen as a German god in West London, right? Well, don't act like he won't be stuck down the unemployment line in the spring of 2023. If he's not, and I haven't succumbed to scurvy by then I'll spend an entire week sleeping in a ditch. But right now, yes, Chelsea fans are worshipping their very own clone of Jurgen Klopp. But I still think he's made a minor mistake in his treatment of Tammy Abraham. Yes, he had a month-long injury in March, but since returning, he's been repeatedly left out of the squad, dropped to the bench, and given just 17 minutes of football. Are we forgetting he is 2 years younger than Timo Werner and has 30 goals for Chelsea? What, did he spray Tuchel with toilet water? Did he take a dump in his car seat? Did he mention the war? What slight has he done to justify being treated as the town leper? Just watch when Tammy Abraham is challenging for the Golden Boot next season at West Ham, while Werner keeps showing an allergy to open goals. Oh, then Chelsea fans might be actually sneezing blood into their cornflakes. This is like when Chelsea ignored Romelu Lukaku to concentrate on trying to make Fernando Torres work. No, big fat massive mistake. I know I sound like his mother, but
justice for Tammy!
Crystal Palace paying Michy Batshuayi legal tender. Well, it is obvious. Continue to pay Michy Batshuayi any sort of wages. Yeah, he's a good striker on his day, but the guy clearly doesn't want to be there. Next, Everton, Robin Olsen. I've already said this. Carlo Ancelotti dragging in Robin Olsen, another #1 goalie, and randomly selecting him once a month. He's played 7 times and conceded a bucket load of goals. Carlo, just stick with Jordan Pickford. He already gets paid £100,000 a week. Yes, competition is good, but to randomly make him sit on his arse once every 5 games, it's probably like giving your grandson a bag of dirt for Christmas and a midnight birthday cuddle. He's soon gonna wish you were dead. Fulham not sacking Scott Parker. I will scream this from the rooftops. Scott Parker is not as good as the media thinks. Yes, as a player, fantastic, and no-nonsense midfield captain. But guess what? So was Tim Sherwood, and he's about as qualified to manage a Premier League team as I am to breastfeed a baby pig. Parker is this generation's mild-mannered version of Sherwood. Yeah, he's got the Gillette, the Cockney accent, the backing of pundits on the telly, and your grandmother probably thinks about him in the shower. But lads, 5 wins all season. This isn't Blackpool, it's Fulham. A club who competed against Sergio Aguero and David De Gea in a European final, let's not forget. A club bankrolled by a multi-billionaire. And Parker, he's learning on the job. But he'll even admit, he started the season with the wrong tactics. No, that's not good enough. You should have already been prepared. You don't see learner drivers enter the Formula 1 Grand Prix 3 weeks out from passing their provisional, not unless you want to see their teeth scattered across the pavement. I have no doubt if Parker was just sacked at Halloween when they were just 1 point from safety, then one of Sam Allardyce, Nigel Pearson or even Jurgen Klinsmann would have kept this squad in the league. Leeds allowing Jack Harrison to wear a man bun. Okay, to be fair, Leeds haven't made too many mistakes this season at all. I guess if you had to push me, then maybe. Why has nobody yet told Jack Harrison that proudly sporting a man bun makes him look like a guy who probably stares at naked goats on the internet? I mean, he's a top player and everything, yeah, but you play in the Premier League now in front of millions of people across the globe. Are you sure you want to have what looks like a hairy hamburger stapled to your head? Leicester not prioritising Europe. Again, it's been an almost perfect season for Leicester. Mistake? What mistakes? Maybe not prioritising Europe. Sure, top 4 in an FA Cup final, what more could the fans want? But lazily sleepwalking to a 2-0 home defeat against Slavia Prague, the Czech outfit wasn't even that good. Just imagine this month, Leicester consolidate the top 4, win at Old Trafford whilst playing in an FA Cup final and a European final. In the space of a week, it would arguably rival May 2016 as the club's most exciting ever month. Liverpool playing Diogo Jota against FC Midtjylland. Okay, you're probably all expecting me to say something about the defenders, right? You know, Jurgen Klopp's defensive crisis. There's been mistakes this season, sure. But I can't help think everyone's overlooking why did Klopp bother to play Diogo Jota against FC Midtjylland, i.e. a bunch of Danish plumbers. Liverpool already finished top of the Champions League group, and because of that, he picked up a bruised knee. Now, a bruised knee might not sound too bad. You probably all had it when you banged it against a toilet seat. But his one meant he missed 14 games of football. Before he got injured, they were in the middle of a league title challenge. When he came back, it was all over. Yeah, the defenders didn't help, but why did you risk Jota? Man City FA Cup semi-final. The League Cup has always been viewed as a contest for children, but the FA Cup is still a proud historic tournament, and the possibility of lifting all 4 trophies in one season would have guaranteed the City players immortalization in English football history. And yet, for the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, Pep Guardiola stood the likes of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Ilkay Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez, Ederson and Phil Foden on the bench. Man United Champions League bottle job. Listen, Man United's league form since November has been utterly ridiculous. It's easy to forget that this bunch of free-scoring, high-flying players brimming with confidence were actually dumped out of their Champions League group. Does anyone want to sit there and tell me that a Man United team sitting 10 points behind Man City in May is a worse outfit than RB Leipzig? A club whose stadium probably stinks of Red Bull piss water. Good Christ, United won 2-1 in Paris, then smashed the Germans 5-0 at Old Trafford. But the bottle job to then lose out in Turkey against Istanbul Basaksehir, who spent the season in a relegation battle, to then travel to Leipzig in a must-not lose game and find yourselves 3-0 down after an hour. Horrendous, a complete collapse. Man City and Chelsea are in the Champions League final. Guess what? Neither of those teams have scored a single Premier League goal against you all season. So playing Thursday night football, complete mess. Newcastle benching Matt Ritchie. Where do you want to start with Steve Bruce's mistakes this season? How about travelling to Bramall Lane with a 5-man defence? Where was your bravery? They were bottom of the league. It's like Floyd Mayweather fighting with a defensive boxing style against a heavily pregnant horse. But the biggest mistake, maybe giving Matt Ritchie just 18 minutes of football across 4 months. Since putting him back into the team at left back whilst dumping the overhyped Jamal Lewis to the bench, the club have picked up 11 points from 6 games to stay in the league. The team have only lost 4 games with Ritchie in it so far this season. So trying to get rid of him to Bournemouth in January, then Bruce, what are you going to do next? Try to sign your son and put him up front? Sheffield United signing Ryan Brewster. £20 million for Ryan Brewster. Listen, I know this kid looked like another superstar in the England youth team, but so did Dominic Solanke, and when Liverpool shook Bournemouth down for 20 million quid, he then proceeded to resemble a walking fridge with eyes. Brewster is a kid brimming with potential, but he was a risk, making him your focal striker, placing the weight of expectation on a child with zero top flight experience. Again, if your 18-month toddler was learning how to walk, you don't suddenly stick him on an escalator. Not unless you wanted to repeatedly headbutt the floor. Southampton picking children at Old Trafford. It took Ralph Hasenhüttl a while to recover from that 9-0 defeat at Leicester. It's fair to say another 9-0 battering is utterly chewed whatever confidence they had to pieces. But picking a team of children for a trip to Old Trafford, picking a one-way Alexander Jankovic, who was sent off after 75 seconds just 2 days after handing in a transfer request. Sorry Ralph, that one's on you. Tottenham sacking Jose Mourinho. Well, this is obvious. Who sacks Jose Mourinho days before a cup final? Listen, yes, maybe Jose Mourinho is the wrong man for this Tottenham team, maybe. But even still, if you're a club who haven't won a piece of silver in an embarrassing 13 years, and you're employing a guy with 12 cup wins, he's the only manager to ever outwit Pep Guardiola in a cup final, then just have him in charge for an extra week. Just leave Mourinho in the dugout for a cup final. Don't suddenly promote Harry Kane's mate from the academy. I don't want to be mean, but the guy's got 14 metal plates in his skull. He is the last person you want to be picking tactics for a cup final. He probably gets a headache just looking at the sun, so forcing him to try and out-tactic an elite world-class coach, I just feel bad for the guy. West Brom not listening to managers. I blame the West Brom players for this. I'm sorry, but you had both Slaven Bilic and Sam Allardyce in charge this season. It's not like you're being babysit by the local drunk. These are two former West Ham coaches who both managed their country. There is enough tactical insight between these two men to be able to keep this team up. There was enough there to grind out survival. It's just a shame these players had the mental strength of an orange. Losing 5 at home to Crystal Palace, 5 at home to Leeds, just utterly rubbish. West Ham late season sloppiness. My only one thing is West Ham and David Moyes have believed their hype at the end of the season. Since February, they've lost 5 of their 10 league games. They nearly chucked away a 3-goal lead 3 times in a row. They've kept just 1 clean sheet since mid-February. After throwing away a 3-0 lead against Arsenal in March, alarm bells should have been ringing, but no, they haven't learned and have since dropped 9 points. Wolves selling Diogo Jota. Listen, 40 million quid was a lot of money for Diogo Jota. I can see why they sold him. But with Raul Jimenez out, they've had no cutting edge and now would probably rather have Jota than having a fat chunk of cash sitting in the bank. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments what do you think was the biggest mistake your club made this season. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.